In this lesson we're going to be looking at our very first dynamic pattern created with 3 notes, and we're also going to look at a new bend and how to incorporate our first dynamic phrasing with our melodic phrasing. I'm just going to play the dynamic phrase we're going to be learning. It's based on a 3-note pattern. Here it is. Now, how did I do that? Well, it's quite difficult, to be honest with you, but with a bit of practice and a bit of setting up, it gets easier as you go. First, again, we need our obligatory thumb over the edge of the neck for support, because we are going to do a slight bit of rotating here. And we need to set up with our index or first finger what I refer to as a mini bar. That is just covering the first and second strings. We want the first finger to be on a slight diagonal to the neck, not too parallel to the fret like that, but slightly over like this. And for our bend, we're going to use 2 fingers slightly apart on the 3rd string. Normally we squash them together when we're doing a regular bend and hold, but in this case the bend is so rapid, you bend up with 2 fingers and let go right away. Now, without confusing you, let's take a look at it. We put our mini bar there, our thumb here, and our 2 fingers, notice how they're apart, they're not glued together. And one more time, just as in the other bends, we want our fingers to be not too vertical off the fingerboard this way, but leaning over somewhat, so that when we push up, while we will be collecting the strings up, that is the 4th string and possibly the 5th string, we're only up at the top of that bend for such a brief period of time, and then our fingers release out this way, the same angle that they began the bend up, they come out that way like this. So we start out, and again, we're just thinking about the left hand for now. We play the 3rd string, let go, and hit the 2nd string, and then the 1st string. The timing we want is 1, 2, 3. Not 1, 2, 3. Now, when we bend the 3rd string up, we want to make sure that we don't flip the string up in the air like that and create some ugly sound. So we just want to bend up. As soon as we're at the top of the bend, it's hard to do this slow, but you'll grab it how I'm doing it. Let go, out this way, and hit the 2nd string. Before going on, you may want to practice just a 2-note, starting with a bend, starting with a 2nd string. So we bend the 3rd string, play it of course, then hit the 2nd string. Now if you're sounding like this, you're doing fine. And then we can build up and add the 3 notes. So there's a 3-note pattern, 1, 2, 3. If I repeat the pattern over and over like I did in the demonstration at the beginning, I can just keep my first finger pressed down, or in some cases, it's not a bad idea to lift off each time you go to the bend. There's not really a right or wrong way of doing that, but you can experiment with it. And once again, the timing is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, the difficulty with this pattern, of course, is because it's dynamic, therefore it's going to be fast and explosive and generate lots of energy. Because it's a 3-note pattern, we want to get the speed developed with the right hand, and 3 notes always present a problem because they're an odd number. By that I mean if we start with a downstroke and go down, up, down, our next 3 will be up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So what we're going to do now is take a very close look at the right hand and see how we can do this 3-note dynamic pattern with proper alternate picking. Now, looking at the right hand, let's assume I'm starting the 3rd string with a downstroke. I want to go up on the 2nd, down on the 1st string. Once again, beginning with a down. And my next stroke will be an up. Now, when it's the turn of an upstroke on the 1st string, make sure that you swing your wrist upwards so that you stop above the third string that you're due to play a downstroke on. I'll start with an upstroke with the 3. And again, I stop up here just to demonstrate how you want to be able to get the sweeping motion without doing an upstroke that stops there and then having to lift it up to do another down. Otherwise, if you stop here, you'll be tempted to do another upstroke here on the string, which we don't want. So I'll do several repetitions of this 3-note pattern. See how my pick takes me up? Now, I wish you all the best of luck with this, because quite honestly, most people get very, very frustrated at this point of the learning process, because they want to be able to play these fast, and they think of all kinds of reasons why they can't just simply go down, down, down. Well, why not? If you do all downstrokes, every time you do a downstroke, you almost have to follow at some point with an upstroke. If I take one string, a one string played rapidly would be a very simple dynamic phrase. But every time I go down, I have to come up to do another down, so why not hit the string? If I were to go like this, I'm not going to get the same speed as if I go down and up like that. So what I encourage you to do is to really practice. First, make sure that the left hand and the sound is perfect for this 3-note pattern before you're even attempting to try picking down and up. You've only got one brain, and realistically, to think about 2 hands at once does create somewhat of almost a schizophrenic problem in terms of concentration. So get one hand down and then work on the other hand. And do try and get this pattern with a nice alternation. Here's some things to avoid. If you start with a downstroke, don't go down, down, up. That's a common problem. Or up, down, up, and then another up here, as I mentioned earlier, 2 ups in a row. So each single picking pattern should be alternated. Let's take a look at how we can combine our melodic phrase with our dynamic phrase while we're soloing. Now, I'll do this without any kind of backing to begin with. I'll start out with our very first favorite 3-note pattern, and then go into this dynamic phrase here. I'll do it a little bit quicker now. Now, what's involved technically is, when we get to the 3rd note of our 3-note pattern, my fingers are apart. So I quickly move to get my 2 fingers ready for the bend and my first finger ready for the mini bar. Again. It may take a bit of time setting that up in your practice, but it is well worth being patient and persevering with that. So when you're soloing, you could throw that in for a little bit of excitement. So you're doing, say, 2-note patterns. There's our double 2-note pattern, and from there you could go into this. So we may have our 3-note. And of course, you're also providing a shift in pitch, because now you're going to this high note, and from there, if you wish, you can come back to the 3rd string and all the patterns associated with being on that string, like the 2-note and all the different chord notes that you can end on. So we may have something like, notice I played 2 3-note dynamic patterns again. Now, just to conclude this lesson, I'd like to demonstrate for you playing some melodic phrases with the 3-note dynamic pattern, but this time I'll use a background rock track.